Hi everyone. On July 3rd, the Holy Orthodox Church celebrates the memory of Joachim the New of Notena. Now, Saint Joachim is a saint that is maybe 400 years away from us, but at the same time, only recently has his life been recorded. In fact, it was put into the Synaxarion of Mount Athos in the year 1979 for fear that as time passed on, his memory might be forgotten. And indeed, as we shall see, there were a number of incidences that happened that could cause something like this. What we do know is that Saint Joachim the New was born in western Greece, and it was sometime during the mid to late 1600s. Now, St. Joachim was to be betrothed by his parents to a girl in the village, and this did not make him happy. In fact, just like St. Alexis, the man of God, he decided to flee his household and his family and his betrothed in order to pursue the monastic life. He did this, and with great joy, finally established a monastery in Notena. Now, this particular area was not far from where he grew up, and so it is likely that his parents still knew of his whereabouts. But St. Joachim was a very, very dedicated ascetic, loving God above all else, and built the monastery with his own hands. We know this because there is actually a document that has an inscription by him that says that he erected the monastery in the year 1695. Now, after a while, others joined him, and he became the egumen of that monastery, but then, after a period of time, decided that the monastic life there was not full of the solitude that he needed. And so, in a nearby cave, close to the monastery, but still elevated higher above it, he endured many ascetical hardships for a period of time that really only God knows. In fact, after his repose, when all of the monastery brethren and people in the villages around took his body and buried it, it was at this point that certain strange things began to happen. After about 10 years, it seems like the Patriarch of Constantinople at the time had a vision, and the vision instructed him to search for the man of God named Joachim and to exhume his relics. Well, some people were sent out. This was done, and St. Joachim's relics were found to be perfectly intact and emitting a wonderful fragrance. Well, as the Synaxarion tells us, after a period of time past that, and because of our sins, and according to the will of God who does everything perfectly, St. Joachim's relics were allowed to decompose. And then a little bit after that, his skull was stolen, so that in the monastery there were only a few remnants of his relics left, along with some of his clothing and this sort of thing. A church had been built outside of the cave that he lived in for those many years, and people would gather all around seeking solace from them and offering their prayers to St. Joachim, and many of their prayers were granted. Many miracles were worked. But yet, because of the Ottoman yoke that was coming upon that area of Greece at the time, many important documents relating to the monastery and, in fact, to the life of St. Joachim have disappeared. Apparently, there are some things that are considered still viable and that might be around, but no one so far has been able to uncover them. So St. Joachim remains a man who is, again, not far from us in Orthodox terms, only about 300-400 years, but at the same time has been now enshrined in the Synaxaria of the Holy Mountain of Athos, and therefore available to all the world for his memory to be propagated, and the many virtues that he enjoyed through his ascetic struggles to be celebrated. It goes to show that the Lord our God, even though in the case of St. Joachim we don't really know how long he lived or exactly when he died or even his death date, July 3rd being an arbitrary date that was assigned by the Patriarchate, the Lord our God still allows saints to come alive amongst us according to when we need them and the message that he wants to get across to all of us. Perhaps we should take a page from the life of St. Joachim and even in our own small way engage in the asceticism that he did and try our very best to love God in the way that he showed forth during his entire life. Bye-bye.